Hello, friends, and welcome back for another Torah Tuesday. Today, I'm taking a break from Exodus because I have a very special announcement to make. Many of you are aware that I've been working for several years on a prequel to my book, Bearing God's Name, Why Sinai Still Matters, and it is out. The publisher's already shipping it. Amazon is about to start shipping it. My new book is called Being God's Image, Why Creation Still Matters. So I thought I'd unpack for you today, my YouTube community, just a few things that I'm trying to do in this book so that you can see if it's right for you. So many people have explored through the centuries what it means to be the image of God and what is entailed in that statement in Genesis 1. And I have become convinced that the image of God is not something we carry. It's not a certain capacity that we possess. It's not something we do. It's who we are. So you won't hear me talking about bearing God's image, although we bear God's name if we're covenant members. We don't bear God's image. We are God's image. It's not something we can set down or walk away from or lose or have diminished in any way. I'm so convinced of this, and I try to make a case in the book for why every human being is the image of God, and that status or identity cannot be lost or destroyed, and that has tremendous implications for our ethics and for how we treat one another and for how we engage in the world. So I first take a close read of Genesis 1 to 11. We look at the early years of humanity, these early stories about what it means to be human. And then I begin unpacking some of the implications. So we talk about gender and race and age and vocation and work, disability, sexuality, pornography, vocation, suffering, and the search for meaning. Along the way, I make the case that there is no sliding scale where some people are more of the image of God than others, but every human being has equal dignity, and our destiny is to represent God to creation. Now, theologically, what I'm trying to do in this book is connect, as I did in Bearing God's Name, connect the Old Testament and the New Testament, model a way of reading that shows the continuity, and then zero in on Jesus and talk about how the New Testament contributes to this emerging picture of theological truth. So I talk about Jesus' embodiment, how that matters to us, and how it affirms that creation still matters. If creation was kind of a failed experiment because of sin, and what we're really waiting for is to be disentangled from our physical bodies and brought to some heavenly existence somewhere where we're floating on the clouds, just souls without the trappings of body, then God would not have needed to send his son in the flesh. But Jesus takes on human flesh. He lives a human life. He dies a human death, and he is raised to life. We don't just think about Jesus in our heads as a nice idea. It's not just a kind of spiritual awakening that we experience when we recognize his role as Messiah and when we give our lives to him, surrender our lives to him. What happens is we're caught up into the new creation. Jesus, when he's raised from the dead, we're told is the first fruits of the new creation. So Jesus's physical embodied resurrection is super important because it points ahead to our own bodily resurrection. We are going to have these bodies in the new creation, and we are going to be living on this planet, I would argue, restored and reformed so that it reflects all that God intended in creation. These are some of the ideas that I talk about in the book and try to trace through scripture. And I end the book with a reconsideration of what is the gospel message? What is the message that we should be sharing with others? Because I don't know about you, but I grew up in a context in which the gospel message was very disembodied. We talked about asking Jesus into your heart so that you could go to heaven when you died. And there wasn't very much about our proclamation that had to do with our physical bodies and our place on this planet. And so I reconsider in light of what I've shown through Scripture, I reconsider, how should we be responding? How should we be sharing this message and inviting others into it? Along the way, I have Bible Project videos picked out for every chapter so that you can read it together with a group. There are 10 chapters of equal length, so that you can easily have a group study that spends 10 weeks going through it. And every week you'll have Bible Project videos to watch, discussion questions to consider, Bible passages to read in preparation for your meeting. This book is written in the same style as Bearing God's Name, which has been read anywhere from 13 years old on up into somebody in their 90s who read and appreciated it. So really any age, any level of education can benefit from the book. This one is a similar style. There's a bit more mature content in this one than there was in Bearing God's Name. So I wouldn't just hand it to a 13-year-old unless you've perused it and feel like they're ready for discussions of things like sexuality and pornography and violence. But I am convinced that high schoolers need this message, that it would actually set them off on the right path. So I hope that it gets used in Bible studies, in youth groups, in Sunday school classes, in high school classes, in college classes. Bearing God's Name has been read at every educational level, from high school to college to seminary, and even a D-Min program is using it. And I believe that this book has the same kind of scope. Now, one difference between this book and Bearing God's Name is that this one is not based on my dissertation research. So Bearing God's Name was based on the work that I did in writing my own dissertation. This book is based on the work of other people who wrote their dissertations on the image of God. I read really broadly on the image of God, and I tried to distill it so that it would be accessible to non-scholars. You can pre-order it from wherever you like to get books, from IVP directly, University Press, or from Amazon, christianbook.com, Barnes & Nobles, in your favorite independent bookstore. Or if you're looking for an independent bookstore to support, Hearts and Mind Bookstore in Pennsylvania has copies and you can order online from them. Or Regent College in Vancouver, if you're in Canada, you can order from them. If you order this book and read it and find it helpful, would you spread the word so that others can find this content as well? When you post a review on Amazon or on Goodreads or on christianbook.com, it makes such a big difference in helping other people find it. So thank you for watching so faithfully my Torah Tuesday videos. Many of you have told me that this content is really blessing you and that you wished that people in your church community could grab onto this content. I believe that Being God's Image and Bearing God's Name are both books that can help you cultivate those kinds of communities in your context. So blessings as you pursue a deeper knowledge of Scripture and of your own identity and vocation as the people of God.